And then, okay, so obviously a few of you probably know who I am. I'm Lucy, the founder of Lista. I just wanted to kick off by saying kind of why I'm here talking to you today, because we started Lista almost 5 years ago now, and things have just gone really lovely and gently and smoothly for us as we continue on our mission, which is to make the wedding world a better place for all of us so that we can all be more successful in what we do and get to these lovely clients and people that we want to help and plan weddings for or deliver weddings for. I've been doing this now for almost 10 years. I've worked solely in Italy as a wedding planner. And Em, who's here on the call, who you just met, is our marketing lead. She is an expert marketer. We actually used to work together quite a long time ago now. I won't say how long because we feel a bit old.
So very
But we
old.
used to work together in marketing. And we are just so passionate about getting your business in front of the people that you want to be in front of, and generally having a successful business and a successful industry for all of us. Um, I'm just going to mute you, Ashley. So everything that we talk about today is a bit of a journey that I've actually just been on in my own business. So I won't lie that with Whisker and White, I've spent a little bit of time over the last year or so questioning a lot of things, wondering how to define who my clients are, how I talk to them, because so much has changed in our wedding world. And that's what we're going to talk to you about today. Hopefully, you can see a slide now that says the wedding world has changed. And we're not here to kind of fundamentally change anything. We know that the wedding world has changed. But I think what I wanted to say is everything that I'm going to kind of take you through are things that I have felt, each emotion, each tip, each behavior. These are all things that I've worked out and applied to my own business in the last year, and I'm still applying. And it's actually been quite challenging. So these are some words that you guys have told us that you have been feeling in our recent questionnaire. I'm going to just give you a moment to kind of take these in. This is what you're feeling, you're experiencing. These are some of the challenges and risks that have been kind of commented on as what's going on in our industry, what's happening to our beloved work that we all do. And we recognize that change has happened to us in our roles. We'll go on to kind of what has changed and why, but it's time to accept, or I have been through this journey of accepting that change has happened. And together is how we come out of this change really positively. And we can do things together that mean that we all rise together. So, our goal today is to share knowledge and insights that have helped us in La Lista kind of get to grips with what we think needs to change in our industry. And very specifically for you and your business, what marketing to action today to help your business grow as we move through what's happening. So we're now living in a fast-paced, overconsumption world where media has changed, how we communicate has changed, our clients have changed. We now have, I feel like an old lady, we now have TikTok. We have, I think, a depreciated value of print media. We have trends coming out of absolutely everywhere. Trends, 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 trends. Can't get away from it. We've got Gen Z. Their behaviors have changed, how they shop, how they do weddings. It's a new stat came out today that 40% of engaged couples are now Gen Z. So very much most of our target audiences. There's voices everywhere. Everybody has an expert opinion on something, and some of them aren't even wedding vendors. Instant influencers rise from nothing. Suddenly, someone has a lot of influence over what other couples or other brides think about their weddings. Again, mostly with very little knowledge or experience of even have had an Italian wedding. And there's really powerful advertising that skews the industry. Some of these best lists are just advertising, and it can really skew and influence what people think about brands. So it's so noisy, it's so messy. Most of these things weren't really around 5 years ago, and we think that it shows your business can't stay the same as it was, or maybe even as it is, and how we market ourselves does need to change. So anything
So,
to talk to you.
welcome to the new wedding world. We all know that in the last few years, we've seen demand increase. So, more vendors and more than ever are just coming into the market. The market is very saturated, more global noise around Italian weddings. The whole world loves Italian weddings. That's vendors and couples. But, and it's a big one, with this shift has come prices that are inconsistent. So we're seeing prices that are well above and well below the true value of a service. So, in short, prices that don't really reflect the quality. So, it fuels confusion and distrust from couples, but also, based on what you're saying in our survey, it's fueling distrust between yourselves as vendors. We're seeing many more vendors entering the market, often new to this role or new to Italy weddings. So, their experience and knowledge is on average a little bit lower. So, the expectation from couples, which is so high, isn't always being met. The wedding noise is overwhelming, not always clear and accurate, and not always from expert voices. Everybody wants to say something about their industry. And what's happening is, you know, people's advice isn't always accurate. We all have this responsibility to be really considered with what we say, what advice we give, and how. And it's not just saying things to get clicks or saying things to meet a certain marketing goal. It's not just for our own success or your own success, it's actually for the greater good. So it's for the greater, wider industry that we really need to consider what we're telling couples and vendors in this wedding world that we all exist in. With so many vendors copying each other as well and sort of copying brands out there, copying how people are putting out their own marketing and showcasing their work. It's very noisy for couples to see past all of this very, very similar content that is being put out there. And it's a real challenge for them to navigate this. Imagine being them, all of this noise, they're already confused about their wedding planning and how to sort of actually achieve the wedding that they want. Most brands are looking and sounding very similar. And so couples are really lost, but even more confused than ever. So where are they turning? They're turning to each other. So they're asking each other what they should do, which is a positive because we have a great community of couples out there who are helping and supporting each other. But also, they're not trusting your voices as much anymore. And we want your voices to be heard.
But they do trust La Lista, which we're really, really proud of. So in our questionnaire, the result was that 96% have full trust in La Lista. So in this context of a disorienting, noisy world, we've created this safe space that we think everybody deserves. Again, couples and us guys, vendors and venues. And we're looking at why. Why do they trust us? Because this is what you can apply to your business. We have a strong brand mission and values. We believe in something really quite simple and ethical, and we hold ourselves to it. We are accountable as well as we go along our path to delivering our goals. We only lift up vendors and venues that believe in our ethics. So from day one, we've had this vetting of vendors, which is extremely important to us, the code of ethics that vendors and venues have to sign up for to be on La Lista. And it is policed. We hear from very kind of a range of different sources of how and where kind of vendors venues are performing. This is really hard to manage and police because we have such great respect for both sides, but we have a very clear complaints protocol that we follow. But in a world that isn't policed, we have to have something. We're consistent, and we're clear and truthful with our comms. Every single communication we put out there is backed by a fact or the truth. And we work tirelessly to support our vendors, venues, and couples with marketing information and education that's again truthful. So we really put a lot of effort into thinking about what we're saying, being really responsible about that, and doing marketing that works. So our directory has to work, it has to get you inquiries, it has to get you bookings. Our advertising, we only offer advertising spots in places that we've tested and that we know get results. So simply everything that we do is around trust and truth. And I believe that that's the secret to a modern brand. When I was dreaming up La Lista 5 years ago, I was literally thinking there is nowhere for anyone to trust. And that is the most important KPI we think that you need to focus on moving forward. I saw this on Instagram and I thought that nails it because being a nice person who's good at your job isn't enough anymore. Like that used to be enough for me to get by. I could just sort of do my job really well, be nice and it was enough. But sadly, it is not anymore. You need to stand out, and stand out doesn't mean being louder. Stand out just means being true to you. And we're going to take you through a few key questions that we think you should think about. It's going to take some work. It's not just going to be a quick fix, but I think it's the only way in this modern wedding world that we're in. So the first question, which I did ask at Whim if you were there, but this isn't just a repeat, is what are you proud of? What are you proud of in yourself, if yourself is part of your service? What are you proud of in your business, in the service that you offer? This is what is unique about you. This is your brand footprint. This is your uniqueness. So I'd really encourage you to go away and brainstorm what your USP or USPs are. This is how you're going to stand out in the market. Being really clear on this makes everything more consistent in your comms. It gives you confidence. I have found that really honing in on this has given me much more confidence in how I do my marketing, how I speak to my clients. There was a time where I just stopped posting on Instagram. I was done. And I realized it's because I just didn't know what to say. And this question really helped me kind of find my voice again. Um, a really important thing about branding, once you've got this USP, is to make sure it's consistent through all of your marketing channels. So I did an exercise where I checked our brand footprint, which was looking at everywhere we come up in the world. And it's quite scary, but looking at everything to make sure that A, we're in the places that we want to be, and B, we are saying the same things on repeat, or that we at least have a consistent voice or a consistent look and feel through everything. Um, and I've had to come to terms with, and you probably have as well, that we'll get copied. You know, my website has been copied so many times over the years, like for like wording, everything. And, you know, it doesn't not make me a little bit angry in that moment, but we've got to let it go. We've all been there. The thing that I always tell myself is no one else is me. So they can copy on it, but can they deliver it? They can steal the recipe that I've put out into the world, but when someone is using it, it will not taste the same. So the message here is to show off the amazing individual creative that you are, because that's what we all are. Be you, and no one will ever be able to kind of compete with or take that you-ness, even on price. Because as Em said earlier on, there's a lot of pricing disparity going on. Pricing is really unclear for couples to navigate. But if you are very clear of what you do and your service is very clear, then I believe that price won't matter. Sorry. Who are your clients is question number two. So we mean ideal clients, not clients maybe that you have now. Who are the clients that you want to work with? And that truly means, who do you want to work with? Not other people's dream clients, not the weddings that we all see on Instagram, not those distracting other elements. Put the blinkers on and think about who you want to work with. When you sit hard and get into it, who do you love working with the most? Or who is going to give you the full creativity that you want to have in your business? Who is going to pay the fees that you will allow you to deliver this type of service that you want to offer? who will allow you to be the most yourself, and kind of help you hit what success is for your brand. Because at the moment, a lot of people are talking to everyone, and that's actually a massive weakness in a business. If you don't know who your clients are specifically, if you're just blanket talking to all couples getting married in Italy, then you're kind of, if you think of it like you're casting a big net, but it's got lots of holes in, big holes. If you cast a smaller net, but it's got much smaller holes, you're going to catch the right fish, the right clients. So once you've thought about who those clients are, you're going to get deep. And we're going to stalk them like they stalk all of us. We're going to get to know all their behaviors. And I'm literally talking about what they do for breakfast. We've done an exercise in La Lista where we think about our brides, who are our key audience. What do they do in the morning? They get up, they might go to the gym early, they might walk their little dog that they've got, then they go and have breakfast and they have this for breakfast and they watch this or they consume this while they're doing it. Blah, 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 blah. We want to know what their life is like so we can see how you and your brand can fit into that life and enhance that life and what they're looking for from you to support them. Knowing everything will help you connect with them in the marketing that you put out, talking in a language that hits them, talking to their pain points and the ways that they're hoping that you will support them. So we're niching, we're thinking about who your clients are and what specific thing you can give them to enhance their life. And we're absolutely not chasing luxury. Luxury isn't, I don't believe, is a thing anymore. Luxury weddings are, again, they've been kind of overdone. Everyone calls everything luxury. Niche very specifically into what your client is, and you'll get that I'll book you immediately level that some of us might be missing and that I was missing for a really long time. Generalizing and having that big net with the big holes in was causing me to have more ghosting and generally just more time wasting. I was getting inquiries from the wrong clients. I'm going to hand this over to you if that's okay.
Yeah, I just thought actually if people wanted to just drop in a comment as to how they best analyze where their clients are, who your clients are. Have you thought about um, who your target audience is and how you stalk them? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to see how you've considered that. Um, so yeah, we're now going to talk about where your clients are. So this isn't just geographically. This is actually like where they are in our marketing world. So we have found, and welcome to the playground, that couples don't work like they used to. They are everywhere and they're quite scatty with how they are consuming marketing and media. They jump around from channel to channel. They go over here onto your website, then they go back to your Instagram, then they go into sort of Reddit and review sites. They are just constantly gathering as much data as possible to make their decision. So web, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, your emails that you send them, one thing to another after another after another without real consistency. So their attention is easy to get, but it's harder to keep. So how do you help them keep how do you stand out to them? So the key is to show up regularly. So in multiple places with brand consistency. I think this is one of the most important takeaways that you can have from this sessions today is if a couple sees you on Instagram and then goes to your website and your images or your language is totally different, they are automatically going to get confused as to who you are. The best way to show them who you are is for consistency across all of your media channels that you're on. So we're talking about Instagram, your website, your email. Is anything outdated? Is the language and how you describe yourself completely consistent across all of these platforms that you're using? Because not only if you're putting out different language, it's going to confuse them, but the fact that you are putting out different language is going to confuse them as well. They're going to think, Why haven't they updated their website? Why is their email not consistent with their brand, their new brand logo, or their new brand colors? It just creates this slight confusion, which leads to distrust. So, yes, same language in all of the core channels that your clients are seeing you show up in. Um, and you need to be sorry so you need to be like across all of these, you just need the consistent. So you need to analyze where your ideal client is and show up in those areas. So where is your client engaging, and where can your brand be?
Yeah, and I mean, importantly, this isn't everywhere because I think I just massively get distracted by what other people are doing, and so there's this feeling that you might need to be absolutely everywhere, but you don't. We make a decision to be in two key places, and that's enough. Um, and working out what's going to have the biggest impact for my client. So, for example, I'm just at the moment for Whisker and White, for example, just honed in on Instagram and website. I'm not on any of the other directories. Reddit is working very well for us, which is strange, has become almost like a search engine. But I'm just hardcore focusing on things that I know work and know where my clients are. I don't just need to be in these other places just because everyone else is. Um, it's back to those horse blinkers that I commonly put on. Um, this is what I say to myself a lot. Stop looking at them. Stay in my lane. I've worked out what success is for me. I've worked out what my brand is, what the audience are, and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, essentially. It wastes energy and it means that you can't put that energy into things that will actually make a difference. So as I said earlier, it's about being more you, not necessarily being louder. And there's a couple of other things at play, I think, that get talked about quite a lot at the moment in the industry, which is that international vendors are taking work from Italy and from Italians, and they're undercharging. But I don't think that's the case. I think they're actually often more expensive than local Italians. And I'd love us all to stop chasing the best lists. I've talked to some people that are here in this chat today about how it can feel when a best list comes out and you're not on it. But they're fake recognition. They will get you some likes and they may get you a few followers, but they're very, very unlikely to get you clients. They're a good brand, thing for a fleeting moment, but they're gone. And I think even couples are seeing that they have less value these days. So, couples are not messing around and they're expecting a lot from us. And they've told us that in a recent questionnaire. They would like us all to be quick, and have speed. They're saying that they want quick replies from us, not necessarily the same day, but I think they would all actually expect that, but within 48 hours. And I think every business needs to be built now to have capacity to do that, even if it's acknowledging a response. If not, then you're likely to lose them unless they're extremely invested in your brand already. Then you're probably going to lose them to someone that jumps on it quicker. They want simplicity. They want that first email back from you to be personalized, but also super simple. Hook them in with a quick question, maybe make a brochure or a one pager that tells them a bit about you. We can't assume that they have looked at our website. We can't assume that they know us very well, but they don't need the full whack brochure early on. They're shopping around, and it will mean that there's more ghosting. They're literally shopping. We have to understand that they are gonna, in some vendor areas, fire out 20, 30 emails to different vendors. And the best thing we could do is make some sort of automation that means that you can respond to them quickly and with something very simple that gets them quickly up to speed on what that you-ness is about your brand. Why should they reply back to you when they're getting 30 other replies as well? I think if you give them any more than a simple email and maybe something light touch about your brand, then you've probably lost them. We've had people answer the questionnaire and say that they literally don't even want to read a long email. They haven't got time. So it's true of venues and vendors. Just give them this quick email and save the long conversation for the follow-up and offer a call on a follow-up. We've also been told that a call literally makes them kind of reject. They don't want to speak to us in that first inquiry stage. They want confidence from us. They want us to be us and the brands that we are. Like Em said, if we haven't got that confidence, which comes from some consistency, then they won't believe what we're saying. If we can't get clear what we want them to know about us, then they won't stick around to find out more. We need to have confidence and we need to expect to be rejected. Sometimes we need to expect to be ghosted and to just crack on. This is the new way of doing things. They obviously want honesty from us. They want clarity, transparency, and integrity. This is where the stalking comes in. You know, they're going to look at reviews, they're going to talk to each other. That's the world we live in now. They all talk to each other, and it's lovely and it's really positive. So you've got to make sure that we are honest, that we are delivering on the services that we've said, and that we're being transparent in every way. Obviously, that's just ethical, and that's what we should do. But it is a point of difference, and not everybody does behave like this. So, you know, being the best that you can, being honest about the skills and service that you offer, and making sure that what you offer is what you output, and pricing fairly for it. And I'm not saying undercharging, I'm not saying lower your price, just price fairly. Sometimes that means charge more, charge for your worth. But if we're not doing these things, couples are literally saying to us they will not be as interested in working with us as vendors. This is what has caused them to reject many of us in the past. So these are words from couples in our questionnaire as to why they have rejected vendors. So inconsistent Instagram, bad Instagram, no images in their work, no reviews online, sending a generic response, having a horrible website, um, not being equal, having a slow response. There's a lot. I think it's common sense, but this is in their own words. So rejection hurts, but I think it is the new normal to be rejected a little bit more. It doesn't mean that couples don't respect us if they reject us. I think it just means we need to get on board with this shopping around behavior. And we need to know that everything we do is looked at and judged. And I think that's right. This is their one wedding, and they should be getting into the detail and really analysing who they're working with as they build their vendor team. So this comes back to, if everything is being judged, then I would do less things and do them really, really well. And I think of it as a customer journey. So this is just a normal marketing tool that if you think of the points that couples go through on their journey with you, from seeing some of your marketing to maybe checking out your website to making an inquiry to that first email back, just looking through that most common journey and making sure that that is absolutely shit hot, would be where I'd focus my energy.
Sorry, Agnes just asked, what's below price seams on the
Yeah,
towards the bottom of
price seems
this
greedy.
seems greedy.
So overpriced, and obviously there's a whole other discussion about this, isn't there? That couples don't always understand the value of something and know what something should cost. But I think it's a challenging moment where couples can talk about pricing between each other, and sometimes they don't understand why one quote is lower than another, which to them seems like a like for like wedding. Obviously, we all understand all of the nuances of pricing, but unfortunately, there are also vendors that do overcharge, and that can skew it for a lot of us as well.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments.
No, go for
Valeria says, wish to understand what they mean for not flexible. So, not flexible, and would love to know what bad Instagram actually means.
it. Yeah, obviously that's subjective, but they're not flexible. I think probably comes from a place where, this could have been about any vendor. So I think it's an important takeaway that you need to we need to come across confident and authoritative in our services, and that comes from being quite fixed in a way and kind of showing that we know what we're doing and this is the service that you're going to need or the product. But there are some vendors, there are some venues especially that come across inflexible, this is exactly how we do it. These are all of the rules of the venue. You can't go outside of this. Sometimes planners as well, I suppose. These are the vendors that we work with. This is how we do it. So I would interpret it as that. Do you interpret it as anything else?
Yeah, I would also probably interpret it as in, and actually, Christina has just asked a question about they mostly avoid booking a call, and it is really hard. And I think this flexibility comes from vendors are they deliver year after year, and you have a process internally to speak to couples. But as we are seeing, couples have changed. So I guess it's your flexibility in how you are communicating your service with them, which then leads us on to Christina's question with, um, you know, do you scare them off by asking for a call? Because these are the people, this is the generation where they don't want to pick up a call to you immediately. Like Lucy says, they want a succinct, very clear email response or DM response, um, directing them to somewhere where they can find a little bit more information about you, then a follow up. But if you ask them for a call immediately before they feel confident that they have all the information, um, that is just going to put them off. And this is something that they are feeding back to us. So I guess the flexibility comes from business management as well. How are you managing your business to really tailor it for this new, the new couple of Italian weddings?
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's quite messy, isn't it? I used to be able to have a system where you'd get an inquiry, you reply, you book a call, and you book the client. And now you've got all these different places they can be talking to you and making inquiries and how to not lose a lead. So they DM you, and understandably you ask them to send you an email. You've lost 60% of them at that point because you've asked them to take another action. There's so many little ways that you're gonna potentially lose the leads. So I don't actually think it's a big exercise to just sit down and think, where are all the places that I get inquiries from, and what can be my next step on each of those? And a really good coach once said to me, it's just usually asking one question. If you ask them one really good question, then you've hooked them in, and you can kind of take the conversation on. But if you just have, an auto DM even with all your information in when someone follows you, and that's too much, arguably, in my opinion. People aren't going to sit and read all that. And if you think their behavior is to talk to us in all these different channels as well, then they probably can't handle all the different kind of bits of information they're putting out and all the comms they're getting back. So just really think about kind of where you go back to them and how to make sure that you're making it the kind of cleanest, simplest route through so that you stay in the running. I think planners are the exception. I would say planners obviously need to have a call to be able to quote, so it is slightly different. Um, and then bad Instagram, who knows what they thought a bad Instagram was, but I think if you just spin it and think about what's a good Instagram, it's just being really clear, I think, really clear what you do in your bio and who you are. I look at vendors often and I think I'd love to know their name. So when I'm a planner looking for vendors, it often doesn't say the person's name, and they might be a one-man band like a stationer or a musician? I'd love to know that instantly. They're a human and they're not just an Instagram profile. And then obviously just that the images and footage look quite similar and actually demonstrate your work. So often caterers' Instagrams are full of tables with no food on. We can't see the food. We need to see the food, and then we're bought in. If one caterer did that and just had this gorgeous array of food, then we've nailed it because 90% of them just show tablescapes, which isn't really their job. What was another example I just had? You get the gist, hopefully. So we wanted to ask you if you think you're making any of these mistakes. Hands up. We all have or are, like sending too much information. Does your website let you down? Mine does at the moment. I need to sort it out. One thing I've been thinking about and talking to photographers a lot is do you have too many packages? My clients want to shop in a way where they just have a really simple all-in photography package. They know that travel might be covered, X number of events are covered. I think couples get really overwhelmed when imagine they're looking at 5 photographer quotes, or even if the planner's kind of outlined it for them, this cost and then this add-on and this add-on and da 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 da. Da. Think they just if you think everything they're looking for speed and they're looking for clarity, how can you make it clearer? How can you condense your offering to help them again, kind of just get straight through to understanding how good you are and what you're offering? Um, yeah, and I just think get this foundation right and then think about advertising and marketing, because the advertising marketing is obviously not going to have as much bang if you haven't got these foundations right. If this is all looking good, then anything you spend on marketing or advertising is going to have even more impact for you. We made a little formula, but it's not so clear. I thought about whether I should put this in. But this is what we've talked about. So Eunice, your brand plus your niche or having a target audience, then improving your customer journey and just being a good person with integrity, doing what you promise is going to equal business success at the moment, in this industry and help uplift us all. I think if we are all clearer about who we are and who we want to work with, and what we do, these are the things that are going to build trust with couples and help our whole industry thrive and raise up. So we wanted to ask you one thing you could pop in the comments that you think you might go away and do for your business off the back of this session. I can't see the comments.
Sorry, I'm busily typing away.
No, I was going to say if you can see any, can you
Yes,
give me now?
I'm responding to one, but I'll read it out. So it says, I'm a photographer and I definitely feel confused about how to adapt my email inquiries. My inquiry emails, sorry. I suggest a call because I feel like it's the only way to try and stand out from the price shopping. But
Nice.
I have had a lot of ghosting despite sending my price guides too. And I was just going to say, don't be afraid to remind them of you, across the different media that they are using. So, for example, if they inquire on an email and you follow up and you have a ghosting, then you could drop them a DM. Or I appreciate that suggesting a call sometimes does end with a ghost. But also these couples, we are finding that they're sort of shortlisting more and more, vendors and venues. So it might take them longer to circle back to your message as well.
That's definitely true. I just went back today with my tail between my legs to some bands that I'd rejected for a client, but she's now come all the way back round in about, it's taken 6 weeks to decide. So that's that kind of going out to more people, shortlisting, taking a bit longer to kind of weigh things up and make a decision. And that comes from this like perfectionist streak that I think Gen Z have. Obviously they want their wedding to be so perfect in so many different ways, including aesthetically, that they are spending more time looking into us, analysing everything. And that does mean that that kind of booking cycle maybe takes a bit longer for probably most vendors, actually. And then like you just said, that cross-channel comms piece, that's such a good way of communicating it. So whereas before we just used to respond to email inquiries, now we do have to think, is it quicker to follow up with them here, or kind of what else can I do to just prompt them along? I've genuinely noticed it's not scientific, but if I've got inquiries out or I've sent out quotes, if I just post a little bit more on Instagram, it increases my bookings. It's like Em's just said, it reminds them we exist, or it reminds them to get back to us, because they're likely to be following us. I've genuinely found that to be a pattern. As I say, not scientific, but I believe in it.
Another comment which Marta has shared is her main struggle is to be actually found by couples. So
Mm,
she recognizes she needs to improve her marketing. But, if you haven't done all of the other things before improving your marketing, as in like putting some money behind your advertising, we recommend that just get that consistent message across the platforms that you want to focus on. And like Lucy said, if that's just two, if it's just Instagram and your website, and you spend a little bit of time improving those, and then go hard with your marketing, it really, really will, you know, it will help you so much, just to have that consistent message. And it's worth taking that time, a little step back in order to move forward.
there's a whole chat going on about being old, which I love because I've also been there this last year. I'm 40 next year, and I used to be my client. So my thing was that I was the same age as them, and I got married in Italy, but that was now a very long time ago. And I don't know where I am. How do I position myself? Like, are they going for cooler, younger wedding planners? Yeah. Um, but Andrew's asked, like, have you seen anything around ageism? Like, I don't want this kind of older photographer, blah, blah, blah. But I think that that comes back to your brand again. So if you're really confident in what you do, you've obviously got more experience because of your age, and use that to your advantage. So it's about finding what it is about you that really does offer them value and a better experience, and communicating it. Because, like we said, there was an arrow diagram at the beginning which demonstrates more vendors are coming in. A lot of them aren't, don't have as much experience or have any experience. So the really obvious point of difference is that you do, and you can shout about it, and you can also shout about it in the incredible work that you show in the testimonials, and it's part of your whole brand story. But it is harder being older. um,
Another age comment, well, an age related comment is, when you get inquiries through WhatsApp and
oh
Instagram, and this person who shared a comment hates replying through those channels because they're obviously used to responding on email. So they ask the brides to email. But, if the bride has sent the inquiry through WhatsApp and Instagram, then that's sort of, they're already telling you how they want to communicate with you. And also, I think that they are, through those channels, more often than not, setting kind of the goalpost as to how much content they want to receive from you. An
mhm.
email, it does allow for a longer conversation, a longer email, more detail. WhatsApp and Instagram is sort of shorter, snappier. And taking them away from where they feel comfortable. I think perhaps rethinking that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's also something I had to accept. Like, I didn't want anyone in my WhatsApps, and now everyone's in my WhatsApp. Like, I think it is just accepting. For me, that's how I'm going to have to do and run part of my business. Obviously, you can have your own boundaries, and you can say, I don't want to use WhatsApp for work. Fine, but you have to accept what that might come with, and shifting people to other comms channels. might be challenging. But again, if you come back to if you think this all through like a bit of a map and you just have your responses ready to go, it will be easier. So if someone does reach out and WhatsApp you, or God forbid, someone phones me for the first time and wants to inquire into wedding planning, I know what to say. I've got my kind of my script down, or I can copy and paste it, and it takes less energy in all sorts of ways, and gets the right outcome as well. But that takes a bit of thinking to get in place, but it's worth it. I was just going to pick up on a question. If you've seen him on, there's a venue question. Hi, Ludovica from Fattoria La Loggia about pricing and how to determine pricing for venues. This is a real challenge because, well, for so many reasons, how you can price a venue. I think it's also hard for you because the best way to do it is to benchmark against other venues, I think, and kind of understand kind of what people are paying in the industry and what people are charging in the industry. But it does come back to your USPs. So I've never thought about this, but I think I could share with you what we teach clients to ask venues, because that's the criteria that they're looking for in venues, that you could then use to kind of rate yourself on and see what you should then charge back. But that's a whole other conversation that would really happily pick up separately. Um, do you want to answer any more questions, or should we close? Because we're quite close.
I was actually just going to answer. I was just checking that it's possible. Um, Joe said, answered Erin. So Erin personally gets 90% of inquiries via Instagram and WhatsApp, and feels a reply so much quicker than she would if it was via email. And Joe asked how you keep track. Now, um, I've literally just tested it, so you might need a little Google yourself. But in WhatsApp, you can put people into groups. So you could set up a section in your WhatsApp that's just 2026 couples, 2027 couples, and then you put those inquiries into these various groups, which in turn helps you keep track. Um, and same for Instagram. I think you can move between, I can't remember the titles, but it's sort of like general, um, I can't think, but there's various sort of categories in your Instagram DMs that you can move people between. So again, just sort of figuring out a system for yourself. I know that's a little bit granular to that question, but there are definite ways that you can keep track. And if keeping your couples in these channels is better for them and better for your communication with them, there are certainly sort of quick wins that you can do to manage internally the communications.
I've seen another here that's around, do US couples use WhatsApp as much? I think they're better at boundaries. I find US couples are much more, they kind of respectfully ask about using WhatsApp. And then if you open the floodgates, then of course they absolutely will. But I think it's slightly different in terms of their approach. Um,
Oh,
sorry,
another
you go,
No, I was just going to say one more question, which I just saw come through from Sarah, who just says she's currently going through a rebrand, would love to have thoughts on prices on website or not, prices on the brochure or a bespoke quote. We do find couples do want to see a price. Certainly, it helps them guide. One of their feedbacks is if there's no price, then how on earth can they figure out if you fit in their budget or not? So it's going to waste your time and them if there are no prices included. Obviously, just remember to always update your prices, because that's another bugbear of theirs. That if the prices aren't updated and they've gone through this whole process of allocating certain budgets and then contact you and your price hasn't been updated for 2 years, then again, that's just going to automatically put them off.
Yeah, so you
Hi,
might get less inquiry.
Emily, can I just follow up on that question, please? Is that
Oh,
okay? Is it okay to jump on? Sorry. I'm being brave. The only issue that I have is I'm wanting to work with planners. I am networking with some of them. I am doing more weddings at more luxurious venues. So there is a certain price point here where I'm based that they say if I charge less than that, they would not want to work with me. But I am still attracting clients directly from local venues, and I don't want to um say no to those yet, if that makes sense. So I've always had my prices on my website and it was very clear in the packages, but I've been told maybe I should look at doing prices from and then have different pricing for different people. And I feel a bit uncomfortable with that because I've always been so transparent. So I would love to have your thoughts on that, please.
I think this is about your own personal brand and like your niching. So I think when you get slightly into a different market and type of client, then it is something that you kind of keep a bit more private because and the reason is each job is different. So as a planner, we have kind of a from price on our website, which is almost like our minimum spend and commitment. But then genuinely each wedding is different. So you have to talk to the client to understand how much work's going to go into it, how many days the event is, all of the things to then be able to give a fair price. And I think that's transparent too. Just to be sure that you've got a full process and it's actually more kind of thorough than just having your prices on there. And there's kind of two camps, aren't there? Like you put your prices on there and it will turn some people away. And I think if you're looking to work directly with planners, planners do tend to like a bit of discussion around what the price is and setting it. Not because they want to add commission, um, sometimes because they want to add commission, but just to get it to the right point for their client, because some clients expect to pay a little bit more or have that kind of shopping list in there. What are the extra things that they need you to do to be able to kind of service that client? And then that's going to get a different outcome. So in short, I think it just depends where you are in your business. And I wouldn't take kind of our word as gospel, but go away and think about your ideal clients because now you have maybe two or three different groups and what's the best way to communicate your pricing in a way that feels clear and transparent, but that allows you to have the flexibility for all of them. Um, I think, should we close the session because of
Yeah,
time? Yeah.
let's move on.
Um, Obviously it sounds like we can all talk forever, which is really, really nice because shocker, as we said at the start, we think we thrive together. And that we mean our community here at La Lista. So these are everything that I mentioned at the start that we do that maintains our trust factor, which is the most important thing for us in our business with our clients. These are some of the things that our vendor members on our directory have said about us and La Lista and how it works for them. Obviously, getting bookings is, we believe, the kind of main reason that you would be part of La Lista, but there are other factors involved as well that you guys care about. We're not like other directories. We put so much into making sure that our marketing works and that we maintain and uphold all of the values that we set, which is not easy for us. In April, end of April, I'm going to commit. La Lista 2.0 is coming, which is our new website coming in, yeah, the spring, where we're going to have more community, more collaboration, and more connection. What we're trying to do is make more of a spotlight for all of us. So La Lista will be where every couple comes to plan their Italian wedding. No arguments. That is what is happening. So we're creating an online community. So that will allow you to have a community always, whenever you want to dip into, and more visibility between each other. So there'll be more announcements coming soon about the functionality, but you will be able to kind of find each other and work together, build relationships, and get found by wedding planners as well. We'll be hosting more events, in-person events in the future, both in Italy and England, which we know is really important to us, but also to all of you. We'll be obviously continuing with our directory, which is really successful couple-facing directory. It will have a facelift, with the goal of getting members of the directory even more inquiries and bookings. And the directory will remain capped, so it has a limit for each category to make sure that it still does work and deliver for the members that are investing in it. And we put Italian brands first. So it's really important to us that it is skewed more towards Italian businesses. And we will also be launching our education and insights, which we've wanted to do for a very long time. If you've been around for a while, we've been talking about the collective for a number of years, but we finally got to it. So this is where, like today, we want to get you seen. You want to get your business in the best shape it can be, because we are so passionate that as creatives that care and have integrity, your business thrives. And we will be launching all of this, giving you access to the community, the events, the planner facing portal, the education. It will all launch with our new website, and it will have a cost, which is £13.99 a month, to be able to access absolutely everything. And we've had people say, why is it so low? Why on earth are you only charging that? And it's because we want it to be accessible for everyone. Anyone that has the same ethics as us and wants the same goal should be able to access it at a really low fee. So if you're serious about your growth and getting in front of this modern audience, then we have built this for you. And right now you are in our email world, so you will hear about 2.0 when it does launch. You can obviously unsubscribe anytime from our emails if you don't want to get those or hear about it. And if you do want to move faster, then we do have a one-to-one call available with us where we can talk to you one-to-one about your business. It's called the Business Builder. And I have a lot of fun doing those calls with lovely creative brands. If you have any other questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. We can stick around for a little bit longer and answer some of those if you'd like, if Em's still got a voice and feels okay. But otherwise, feel free to leave. I know we've used up a precious hour of your time, and thank you so much for being here with us. If you have any comments about what we've covered today, or you have any feedback from us, we would love to hear it. Let's thrive together.
Thank you. Thank you. It was lovely to see you all.
Thank you for being here. See if there's any other comments.
Bye.
Bye. Comments are wild.
A few wedding planners, I'm not sure whether people are still on the call, but a few comments was just a wedding planner. They've been on the waiting list for over a year now. The reason why we do have waiting lists is purely so that we don't bombard couples with every single vendor out there. So many people apply to be on our directory, and we base the numbers in the certain categories according to our web traffic, and we monitor this really regularly. We have a constant eye on what people are looking for through La Lista, what they're after, what their budget levels are. So the team is, they make the decisions with insight into our audience, as opposed to just getting everybody on who wants to be on, which I appreciate is frustrating, but we're kind of, it works for you as well as the couples.
I've seen a question around permits and working abroad, and wedding content creator based in Italy. Like amazing. We need more content creators based in Italy. So lovely to learn of you. I think it says after Brexit, UK citizens need work permits to work in the EU. I would say that I don't feel confident fully commenting on this because I don't understand and it does change. I would just look into it online, because there's lots of information literally on Italian government website about how this works. I believe at the moment that you don't need a permit to work in Italy, but that will change in the future if they don't undo Brexit, which is actually my dream. But here's hoping. But others definitely do. So if you're coming from other countries like the US, I understand that you need a work permit to work in Italy. And I would say, a bit to the point we talked about earlier, like, you can't control this, people are going to come and they're going to do things, whether or not they're legal or not, it's out of all of our control. But what can you do to stand out? What's amazing about you and your business, and how can you get seen, to, you know, just get the bookings that you need. That's what I'd focus on. Just going to see if there's any other questions. Okay, there's a request for a venue session. Timing of contacting categories has changed. Couples used to rush to contact and book much earlier. So I personally have found the cycle of planning has changed. It depends on the amount of time someone has for their wedding. If their wedding's in a year, it's very different to if their wedding's in 18 months versus obviously if their wedding's in 9 months, they'll act differently. But I do think things have drawn out a little bit more. There seems to be less of a panic and urgency in some areas, and that might be because there's more of us. It feels like there's more vendors out there. Maybe it just feels noisier, which gives couples confidence that they've got a bit longer to make their decision and book. But there are some things that they really leave to the last minute now that we didn't before. 8 years ago, everything would get booked early on, and then you'd have a really peaceful planning journey. Now it can get a little bit more frantic nearer the wedding, or they change their minds. They might not have wanted a celebrant the whole way through and then decided 3 months out, we've made the wrong decision. Uncle Tom is not going to be right. Let's get a celebrant. So yeah, it can feel a little bit more frantic, and you just don't really know where you are a lot of the time, which is a bit disconcerting, isn't it? Do you want to answer any more?
No, I'm just sorry, I'm just answering a few in the comments directly. But yeah, just like Lucy says, if you have any questions, just send us an email to hello@lalista.com, and the team are really happy to help. And also, we really love seeing you in person, so we are really excited about our events next year. It gives us such a buzz. We love these sessions, but also to see people in real life is incredible, actually.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing another version of this in a few months' time, just before we launch the website, and we're going to announce our Italy and UK events as soon as we can agree when they are, which should be by the end of the year. So thank you so much for coming along and being with us today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I hope you feel really good and positive about your amazing business, and that you go away and make a few tweaks, hopefully, and get it where you need it to be. Thank you so much for
Thank you
being
so
with me.
much. Thanks. Have a good day.